Greetings, I'm Danilo Cinco, and this is my course project presentation on application development and emerging technologies. I choose the workflow, the structure, and the style to discuss, as this is one of the most important part of developing a web application, a web-based application. Okay, so on this slide, page 2, um, let's start with the workflow. In this module. We will need about the primary tools that is needed in creating a web-based application. There's three common tools in creating a web-based application. First is the text editor. Second is the version control system. And the last is the web browser. Now let's discuss what's in the role in creating a web-based application. So, a text editor is a tool for creating a web-based application. This is what you use to edit codes, which will be used in creating a web application. Text editor is also good in handling codes and can also be used to read codes by different programming language. Okay. Its main purpose is to guide the programmer to alter or update code of the web application. This is some of the examples of an integrated development environment, or IDE, that is used to update codes. We have Xcode for Mac, Visual Studio for Windows, but can be installed in Mac, and lastly, the Eclipse. There are two types of essential classes of text editors: the graphical user interface editor, or the GUI editors, and the terminal editors. GUI editors have an interface for editing code and make it easier for a programmer because you can use it to use the menus and mouse in editing codes. On the other hand, terminal editors is structured and used when GUI is not popular yet. A version control is a system that allows a programmer to track changes in the code, say mark checkpoints, and work together on the same project by storing files and their history in a shared repository. Some examples include CVS, Mercurial, Perforce, Subverforce, and Git. Git is the most common version control that is being used today. It has its own installer on both Mac and Windows. File system and trees. Tree diagram is a model that is followed and mostly useful in creating web application. It is a hierarchical structure that have a parent and child relationship. And it is very important in a file system because we can manage files by creating a hierarchical structure of what is needed in order to have an organized filing system. The last common tools we will be discussing is in creating a web application is the web browser. This is also essential in creating a web application because we can run the code we create on the browser. We can run the code, we run it on the browser. We can see how the contents of the web application will be shown to the user and can see error if there were any. Some examples of web browsers are Firefox, Safari, and Chrome. Chrome is the most popular web browser that's being used. Next part is the structure. In this module, we will discuss the structure of a web application. Hypertext markup language, or HTML, is one that is used to give structure to our web application. Now let's differentiate what is the basic difference between a tag and a content. A tag is basically contained by angle brackets, while the content is the content of the page that will be shown to the user. There are three parts of the HTML: the header, body, and footer. The header contains all the links that is necessary for the web application. The body contains all the information of the web application that is presented to the user. The footer contains the necessary document regarding the page. And sometimes we will see the copyright there. Okay, these were some of the samples of tags. A is used for anchor and is used for links. P is for paragraph and it's used for paragraph or long text. LI is used for list item and used for listing items. OL is for listing items wherein it is ordered, while the UL is used for listing of items for unordered lists. H1 is for header and the size vary from H1 to H6. H1 is the largest and the count, and as the count goes higher the size becomes smaller. Div is used for container for contents in the web application. It is used to separate the contents of the web application. This is an example of how to use the tags and contents. We use P as an example and close with an angle bracket, then type the contents that will be presented to the user. Then when you enclose it, it is also the same as the opening, but add a slash before the letter P. That's how you use the P tag. The next one is comments. This is also important to HTML as this will give description to what is its part on the web application. This is used to organize the contents of the HTML, making it more easy to modify and prevent confusion. You can use the HTML content by using angle brackets followed by an exclamation mark and double dash when then you can type the comment on the page. If you're done and close by dash and another angle bracket. Okay, so document object model is the method that is used to present an object which can be characterized through the HTML and afterward communicated by means of a scripting language such as JavaScript. The last module is about the style. If the workflow is about the tools and is needed in creating web application, the structures is the structure of the web application. The style is this design of the structure of the web application. Cascading style sheets or CSS is the one that is used to give design to the web application. It portrays how the elements of the HTML ought to be shown by the browser. What is the difference between HTML and CSS? HTML is the structure of the web application and it contains the contents and tags in the web application, while the CSS gives the design on how the contents will appear in the web, how it will appear in the web browser. It is the one that will be used if we want to modify how the contents will be shown to the web browser. Okay, rule page on this page. Rule set is essentially an assortment of style rules applied to some subsets of the element in the DOM. It is compromised. It compromises a selector, an opening curly brace, list of rules, and an ending curly braces. A selector can be a tag name, ID, or class. A rule comprised of particular property trailed by colon and then value then semicolon. This is an example of a rule set where we use the tag name p and add list of rules where its widely is 800 pixels, where px is pixels, and assign the white color. So HTML can be shown in different ways. It can be inline or block. Inline when you apply you apply to elements that have a type A for links or span. Block is when the contents is enclosed inside the element. It will show up on another line outside of the typical progression of the text. Block also have three different properties that is helpful in creating a style on the page, or in the page with customized layout, which are padding, border, and margin. Padding is the spacing between the contents of the element, and the border, where margin is the spacing between the element and its encompassing element, and the border is the space between the padding and the margin, and by using these three you can manipulate the spacing and blocking of the contents to your desire. Selectors is most significant part of the CSS. It is used to select the part where you would like to apply the design and how it will appear on the web application. Tag name is one of the selectors on how to apply CSS, because all the tag names that will be affected by the design you have made. Let's look at an example here. We have h1 as the tag name, and then we use that as a selector, then followed by open curly brackets, then the list of the rules, which is turned to the background to black and color to white. Background to black and color to white. This means that all the h1 in the HTML will be affected by it because we use the h1 as the selector. Okay. So classes is also another way to implement CSS. It is a class attribute to the tag, and it's used to separate them to others. As you can see in the sample, we use p as the tag, but also add class to it. Named first, on the second is named the second p is named second, where we use p. First, the selector, we select only p with the first as its class, and only that will return the color to red. Same with the second, where we use p second. We assign the black as color. It will only affect the second p because it emphasizes that the class where the name is second basically is used to the specific design that would be applied to its unique class and tag name. Next is the pseudo class. It acts as a typical class that we can customize the element that have the class similar to an ordinary class. It is used to add effects when it is clicked or on hover. Let's look at the sample example here, where a followed by a semicolon, then a type hover. When we hover the pointer to the tag A, the word will have underlined below it. Basically, it is used as a design when the pointer is used to the content we use it from. More complex selector. As things progress in your web application, your tree diagram is becoming more complex, and applying CSS will become more complex, as this will affect the whole content of the web application. So in order to avoid these problems in the future, we need to make more difficult selectors to avoid designing on others. Inheritance is also applied in this because the descendant will inherit the properties of its ancestors. Like for example, a ordered list and list items. All the properties of the ordered list that is given is inherited by the list items. This is one of the examples where the list items were affected by the list of rules applied in the ordered list. Layout with floats. These properties gives developers more power over where the objects will show up. Bloat properly. It is one of the more usually utilized properties and can be applied to um, the left or right, and can also remove the element from the ordinary flow and pushes it as far to one side or right in the containing elements. Working with custom font style before is tricky, but with the use of a web font style or font made it simpler, that you can convey to the fonts over the web when they are required. Google is currently having various fonts, and it's utilizing them gently. In using fonts, you need to include two things: a link and reorder on the link tag that will be imported of the page will be imported to the page. Resetting browser inconsistencies. Some browsers have different settings, so when we try to run our web application, we encounter some problems and differences in how it is shown. So we need to use CSS reset to eliminate all the browser default. CSS uh, link is used to identify problem within our CSS file. It is very useful in finding the fault in CSS because sometimes the problem is not showing in the web application. This is a big help in cleaning our code. Another problem is the grid in the design. Because of the fixed width design, it occurs when the size of the browser or window is not the same. It's not in the same. Page content can remain focused at a similar width in any case. The problem is how we can accommodate different sizes of a web browser in order to affect its design in the web application. Now we will differentiate the difference between the three modules in the summary part. First, let's start with the workflow. In this module, we can learn about different tools that is needed in creating the web-based application, the text editor for modifying and updating the code, the version control system is keeping tracks on checkpoints within the code, the Git is the most popular version of control today, and browser in which where we run our web application, the structure in which this serves as the structure of the web page that contain the contents and data regarding the web application. We learn about HTML, tags, content, and the document object model, or DOM, in creating a web-based application. Lastly, the style in which we learn the rule of set in applying the style, which is the selector open parentheses list of rules and ending curly braces. A selector can be tag name ID or class, Pseudo class, it is used to add design to the web page. Inheritance is also applied to the style in which all child and of the parent will inherit its properties. That is all, and thank you for listening.